Do you like to laugh, geek out on music, and learn all about that band or artist who had that one song back in the day, but then seemed to fall off the face of the earth? If so, you need to subscribe to One Hit Thunder. Together with an array of interesting and hilarious guests, we do a weekly dive into one-hit wonders like Eiffel 65's Blue, Krayshawn's Gucci Gucci, EMF's Unbelievable, Delamitri's Roll to Me, Los Del Rio's Macarena, Musical Youth's Pass to Dutchie, and even Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind. So are you subscribed to One Hit Thunder or what? As Desiree would say, you gotta be. And as K7 would encourage, you gotta come baby come and join in on the fun of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come, come. Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come.
Hello everyone, we're Superhero Stuff You Should Know, and if you think you know about superheroes and comic books, think again.
We got romance. We got action.
Romance?
We got comedy. We got everything you need, man. Come on down to Superhero Stuff You Should Know for all your superhero needs.
I don't know about this romance. What part are you talking about?
We've got all kinds of sketches, and then deep dives on top of that. Come on down to Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
All right, so come on down to... Wait, why did I say come on down? To Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Everybody, we're back with another episode of Horror Movie Night. This week, to tie in with the fact that there is a new Alien movie in theaters, we are talking about Alien 3, arguably the most debated of the franchise in a lot of ways. There are people who think that this is the absolute worst that this franchise has ever produced, and there are others who think that it is some type of misunderstood masterpiece, and then there's people like me who think that it's just fine.
Yeah. I realized, I hit play and I'm like, this doesn't look familiar to me, but as soon as Ron Perlman shows up, I'll be on the track. And I was like, okay, it's 15 minutes and Ron Perlman hasn't shown up.
You were thinking Alien Resurrection?
Yes. So this was my first watch, not realizing that I had never seen, because I bitched and moaned a lot about doing this movie. So I was trying to I was going to be like, who do I blame for making me watch this hour and 48-minute movie? It has to be Kyle, because the other, last week was Matt. And I was like, maybe? Was it? And then Matt's saying that it was a tie-in, so with Alien Romulus coming out. Romulus, right? That's the
I
new
think
one?
that's what it is.
No, Remus.
Fuck. Kyle, you know that joke is going to go over Matt's head. Anyway, so I'm watching this pissed because I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. I remember how annoying that Joss Whedon movie was, and then I'm 15 minutes in and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is new territory for me, and it is completely middle of the road. It is. But neither.
Scott, did you do any research?
Also, how long did you say your cut was that you watched?
Yeah, mine was an hour and 54.
Oh, 50. Wait a second. Maybe
mine was 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Oh, you watched the director's cut.
Guess who watched the assembly cut? Whoa! What a difference! What a difference! Another 30 minutes will make, huh?
Yeah.
Holy
will
guac. No. You know what? Because I'm also like, fine. This is fine.
Oh, you're right. I watched the one you sent. I sent you,
yes,
and that is the special edition, and it was very long. I did not actively watch it though.
Yeah.
A lot of it was me being like, okay, I'm gonna go back to work, and I just had my one AirPod in. Yeah, it was fine.
This is an acceptable movie to do that too. By the way,
there's a lot of fucking bullshit in this movie.
I did that while watching the hour and 55-minute version of the movie. So here's the thing with, as far as I remember, this is the first Alien movie I remember coming out, right? Because I obviously wasn't alive in the 70s. And like Aliens, I was so young when it came out, but Aliens 3 was right where you're getting like the toy tie-in.
There was also the Super Nintendo game,
There
right?
was a
Was it
video game
Nintendo?
based on this. There was an arcade cabinet based on Aliens. Like this was when they really started to see Alien as a marketing machine more than they had with Aliens. Audiences, when they saw this movie, from what I understand, were pissed. And they were pissed for two reasons. Reason number one is that in the first minute, they just kill Hicks, Newt, and Bishop. Like, it just completely takes away the happy ending of the previous movie in like a matter of seconds. And secondly, if you watch the teaser trailer for Alien 3, it is all about how now we're going to see what happens when the xenomorphs come to Earth.
What? Really?
That obviously got scrapped at some point.
Whoa.
So, Scott, the reason why I asked you if you did any research on this movie is because I know that you'll be intrigued by who wrote the original script that like they barely used anything for was William Gibson.
Are you kidding? The guy who wrote Neuromancer?
Yeah, it was the writer of Neuromancer, wrote the script, and Rennie Harlan was going to direct it originally.
Wow. Can you guys fucking imagine that?
Can we
I
hit
can.
That, can we hit
and I
that
feel
timeline real quick?
That made me need to go to the dank nebula from Clown Shoes.
Nice. Oh, that's good. I have such a weak counterpart. It's gonna be a great beer, but I went out to get the Face Hugger beer that I've had on this show before from New England Brewing Company, and the store was out. The store that I work at, and the other
Unacceptable.
store. So I just got G-Bot. I was like, I don't know, it's mechanical. It's like it's from New England Brewing Company.
G-Bot would have also worked for Supernova because they absolutely have sex with.
Well,
you
so
know,
that's what I
in
was going to
space.
say is while it's insane
100%.
to think that like Gibson had anything to do with any element of this weirdly feels cyberpunky in just like the like technological dystopia planet that they're like chilling at.
Yeah.
Like it's
also
so,
the fact that they're like a religious cult.
yeah.
And I really did enjoy the part where Dylan is explaining how they were a mining colony, and then Wayland Yutani, is that what it is?
I think so, something like that. Yeah.
I my God, I hope that the Alien fanatics do not come for me because I am not big on the franchise.
Well, the vibe that I got from my memories of this movie, and keep in mind, I watched this morning, and I didn't retain a ton.
I watched it this afternoon. I literally. Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
But I think that the idea was supposed to be that this planet is kind of like, no offense to our friends in Australia, but like the way that Australia for a long period of time was like where people sent their criminals essentially.
Yes, that's where the British Empire did it. Yeah.
Yeah. This planet is essentially where all of these like criminals were sent, and in this planet, to survive, because they're just kind of policing themselves, they created a borderline religious cult. Because there is that point where the one guy is saying to her, like, we need to keep you hidden from these guys. And she thinks it's like mostly for religious purposes. And he's like, no, you don't understand. This entire planet is like murderers, rapists, child molesters. Like, they may have found God, but they're still bad people.
We got one thing, and it's no women. So we need to keep it that way.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it is that, like, I think that's also kind of why I detached myself a bit beyond the ridiculous length of the movie. And I specifically chose that instead of the theatrical cut because I was like, maybe there'll be more scenes of the xenomorph. I don't know because I've never seen the theatrical cut.
Apparently.
We went with no comparison.
The xenomorph in this movie that bounces from a really cool looking practical to some really bad looking CGI in certain shots.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, David Fincher, who directed this, has mostly disowned this movie. And the storyline was that the script kept getting rewritten
Day up.
so
they were
much
getting their
while
notes
they
like
were
day
filming
up, right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was just filming scenes and hoping that somewhere he could make it work into whatever they handed him as a final script, because things were changing like day to day to day, which does kind of make like David Fincher has a pretty impressive like hit streak. So it's weird that it starts with Alien 3.
Well, I think it's like, if that's going to be his, because he's doing so many music videos and so much, and then you get this opportunity to jump into a beloved franchise which has the opportunity to really make some cool shit. And then, you're stuck in that system. Like, I don't know how you bounce out of that. At least in 1990 whatever, right? Like, I don't know how you escape that. There is literally a line around like the hour mark where Ripley goes, "It's a long, sad story about like not explaining what is happening," and I was like, that feels like maybe David Fincher was like, I'm gonna put a line in here right now because this is a fucking mess. And I mean, you do. It's such a large world and has so many voices that you're already involved in. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know how you make Alien 3. And I'm not a big alien lore person, so I may be speaking out of turn a little bit, but it just is so vast a world that I don't know how you don't, quote unquote, fuck up a little bit.
Here's the thing. What I think we're doing is, and I'm guilty of the same thing, so I'm not calling you out, Kyle, but again, I really hope that the alien diehards don't come for me or you or us as a group, because I have no love or hate for it. It's very middle of the road. I think Aliens is sweet. I think the Alien is a great horror movie. I think that Aliens is a great action horror movie, and this movie is just very long. It's kind of it chews its own scenery. But what I want to say is, if we think about this as the third installment, there isn't as much lore that was built into it in '92. Like, a lot of the shit that people hate is coming from the quote-unquote prequels, because they're retconning a lot of the things that were, well, maybe not retcon, but they're adding a lot of unnecessary confusion, where they introduced the way that the engineers were basically kind of like terraforming immortal aliens. They're basically celestials from the MCU. They're gods, and they like seed life in different worlds, and they just basically do their experiments because they can, and that's what the xenomorph is like. But they also, I believe, and I also don't want to be speaking out of turn here, I believe that in Alien Covenant, which is either the last one that came out or the one before the last one, they explained the xenomorph as this science project created by a human android.
Yeah, and that's where it gets all wonky.
It's
like,
very, very confusing. But like, think back to '92. I think that we're really the confusion and the lore wasn't there yet because they hadn't jumped the shark. They were literally, they had done Alien, they did Aliens, and then this was the first one where it's kind of like, well, shit, what are we going to do now?
And that's what I was going to say. The only thing that I think this adds to the lore, quote unquote, is that with this particular alien being blended with a dog, it kind of solidifies the concept that the alien will basically take on the form of whatever it impregnated, right?
Yes.
Like, you could have jumped to that conclusion just based on the fact that the aliens in the first two movies had humanoid-like features, but like this one definitively lays that down. Like, no, and that's what led to those great toys, right? Like, the toys were like, what if the alien impregnated a gorilla? What if it impregnated a ram? Like, you'd get like these crazy creatures.
I'm not super familiar with these toys.
Oh, dude, look up
they're
Aliens
really cool.
action figures, and they had so much fun, like creating like animal alien hybrids. It was apparently supposed
also,
to be.
Were they Hasbro or were they McFarlane? They were
something like that. They were supposed to be part of a cartoon series that never happened.
Yes, that's
they were trying to do an Aliens.
They did get a comic series, right? Was it Aliens or was it Alien? The Marines, was that when Alien 3 came out?
It was when Alien 3 came out, but it was off of it was based on Aliens because no one knew what the hell Alien 3 was going to be. basically.
Not
by the time they
even
started
Walter Hill,
filming.
because it's
Not
hilarious.
Walter Hill, not David Fincher, nobody.
Yeah.
Do you think that like these sci-fi guys, these big sci-fi guys in the 90s just got lost in the sauce? You know what I mean? Like there is a prime time for these like large. Yeah, oh, for sure.
I would
Some
also
sort of
argue
sauce.
that
Very powdery sauce.
Well, I would argue that 92 is also like not exactly a banner year for like knowing that your horror / sci-fi movie is going to do well, right? Like
What came
I
out
would
that
say
year?
1990 to like 1996 is a real bad time for horror movies,
Right.
as far as like doing well in the box office. And then, you know, you've got like Terminator 2, but that's like more of an action movie than a sci-fi movie at that point.
Well, that
So, like, you
built off
haven't-
of the popularity of Aliens, which was an action sci-fi horror, which
Yes.
Terminator 2 is absolutely in the same genre. And I don't feel like Alien 3 truly is, because of the pacing, for one. And there's a lot of world building in this, well, at least in our cut, that
I
Kyle
would
and
say that
watched.
this movie has more. I think Alien 3 is one of the only Alien movies that I truly think classifies for being on Horror Movie Night, because it almost has more in common with something like Event Horizon than it
does,
does
yes.
in like than it does in like a traditional action sci-fi film that just has like tiny elements of horror. Like I also would never say that we would do Terminator. You know what I mean? Even though Terminator has a bit of a horror concept of just this giant robot is killing people trying to find this one person.
It's
it just
sci-fi
wouldn't
Michael
work.
Myers.
Basically. But I will say that there are moments in this movie that I think are awesome, right? Like the first kill where the dude gets acid in his face and falls into a giant fan and you get that explosion of blood.
Brutal.
Amazing. The infirmary scene that like has the famous alien face right up to Sigourney Weaver's face.
Yeah, I mean,
Brilliant.
that is the still from Alien. And it's like, I saw that still so many times before I even knew that it was from Alien 3. You know,
Yeah, you would
like,
think it was
just,
from the first movie for
yeah,
how beloved
I've
that
seen
shot
the first
is.
movie,
Yeah.
but like my brain was just like, that's from Alien. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's just such an iconic shot.
I would even argue where a lot of people hate it, like Ripley sacrifice, because like they just love the character. Having her fall into those flames as the alien queen bursts out of her stomach and she's holding this like alien fetus creature as tightly as possible to make sure it goes in the flame. Like I'm like, that is an awesome decision, and it's like that's like the equivalent of like the hand popping out in Carrie. Like the movie already feels over and then you still get this chest burst at the very
Nice,
last
satisfying,
second.
yeah.
Like there are good moments. It could have been just as many good moments if the movie was like 96 minutes long.
Yes.
Like that's the
I
biggest.
don't feel like the 2 hour and 20 that Kyle and I watched had 90 minutes of excitement.
I feel like it's when Brian was on our Halloween 6 episode, and he was like, I watched the producer cut, and we're like, well, which would you rather watch, the original or the producer cut? And he said the original because it's shorter. Like the longer version
Yeah.
didn't fix enough problems to justify how long it takes to watch.
No, there is a historical acceptance and appreciation, but there is certainly not an enjoyment level that gets like the needle doesn't get pushed either way on my enjoyment meter by any means. If I watch this longer cut, or I watched a fucking shorter cut, or if I watched like a mega cut of all the kills on YouTube. I'm sorry, Alien fans. I don't know.
I don't think that there's that many diehard Alien 3 fans out there, honestly.
No.
Like I think we're in good company here.
We're okay.
One thing that I didn't remember from this movie until I watched it today that was awesome is when she finds Bishop and hooks him back up, and he's got that awesome like half melted face with like the blown out eye. I was like, God, this is great practical work.
Great effect.
Yeah.
Super great effect. Really, yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to pick this for their double feature, but like it was Return of the Living Dead level, like body on the table, like talking and trying to decide. I was just like, fuck, yes. Like that was probably my favorite moment. Besides
that's
maybe
what
the
bums
lead
me out.
waterfall.
Yeah, the lead waterfall is cool too. Like that's the thing that I think bums me out about this movie is like I've definitely watched this more than I've watched Alien Resurrection. And I think a lot of people look at them as like kind of equals, but I think that this one
Was Resurrection,
even though
Resurrection
it's
next?
bad. Yeah, that was the next one that Joss Whedon wrote and was directed by the guy who did Amelie and City of Lost Children or whatever. That
What?
yeah.
What?
Like,
I didn't know that. I thought that
Jean-Pierre
he. Wow, I did
yeah, it
not
was a
know.
French. It was that French director. I can't remember his name, but
Yeah.
Go
Oh my
on,
God.
on.
No, Jean-Pierre Jeannot, which is I think is how you say it. I don't know French, but yeah. So City of Lost Children leads into Resurrection, which then leads into Amelie.
what a weird chess
At least
piece.
as far as like sort of like Google immediate results is telling me.
Wait, didn't
Yeah.
we
Oh, no, that's
also
right.
just
That's
talk
correct.
about this Amelie looking stuff? Like
when we were talking
3
about
weeks
opera.
ago?
Yeah, we were talking about opera.
Maybe that wasn't 3 weeks ago.
Okay, I
but-
can't wait to watch Amelie for horror movie night.
Yeah, we're working our way slowly there.
We could do Delicatessen.
We can
Yeah.
definitely do Delicatessen. That would be a
Delicatessen
fun one. That should-
But,
I mean, I don't-
well, you could mark that down as one of your Thanksgiving picks, Scott.
That's a
It's-
long.
It is a cannibal whoopsie.
Wow.
It is a cannibal whoopsie. Now, here's the thing: is that I feel like my gripes with Alien 3 are so muted because I legitimately hate Alien Resurrection. Like, I hate Alien Resurrection, and it starts with the fact that it's 200 years after Alien 3, and then they have a clone of Ripley. They're just like, well, we got to keep the gravy train going. We got to bring Sigourney Weaver back. It's, man, fuck Joss Whedon. What
The
an
only
asshole.
thing, the things I will say, things I liked in Alien Resurrection, I like that it takes on this weird concept of now they're trying to clone like humans with alien DNA, hoping that so you get this really gnarly like human alien perfect half and half hybrid. And I love how stupid the ending is of that they basically shoot a single bullet hole in the side of a ship and the whole alien gets sucked out the bullet hole, so you're seeing like all of its flesh rip off, and it's good nonsense for those two moments. But that's what I was going to say is Alien Resurrection, I do not think has any real substance or style to it, even though it's made by a director who I think has a lot of substance and style. Whereas this is arguably one of David Fincher's worst films, but even then you see like why this dude became an unstoppable director for like almost 2 decades, because there
It
is
looks- million
it looks
obstacles.
good. You know, like
Yeah. It
looks good.
I'm impressed with
the
I didn't
parts that
even-
are his job as director he knocks out of the
Well,
park.
and
in
that's what
this movie.
sticks out. Like you can
Yeah.
see his handprint on the things that are truly his. You know, in the mass of all the voices again that are part of it.
Literally go on the Wikipedia. The production thing is broken into 7 different script paragraphs.
What the fuck?
Like this film shifted through so many hands that it's an absolute mess. But you know, sometimes a mess is fun to watch.
Yeah,
And
have you listened to our podcast? Sometimes a mess is fun to watch.
Do you like to laugh, geek out on music, and learn all about that band or artist who had that one song back in the day, but then seemed to fall off the face of the earth? If so, you need to subscribe to One Hit Thunder. Together with an array of interesting and hilarious guests, we do a weekly dive into one-hit wonders like Eiffel 65's Blue, Krayshawn's Gucci Gucci, EMF's Unbelievable, Delamitri's Roll to Me, Los Del Rio's Macarena, Musical Youth's Pass to Dutchie, and even Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind. So are you subscribed to One Hit Thunder or what? As Desiree would say, you gotta be. And as K7 would encourage, you gotta come baby come and join in on the fun of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
Come, baby, come, come. Come, baby, come, baby, come.
Hello, everyone. We're superhero stuff you should know. And if you think you know about superheroes and comic books, think again.
We got romance. We got action.
Romance?
We got comedy. We got everything you need, man. Come on down to superhero stuff you should know for all your superhero needs.
I don't know about this romance. What part are you talking about?
We've got all kinds of sketches and then deep dives on top of that. Come on down to superhero stuff you should know.
All right, so come on down to... Wait, why did I say come on down? To superhero stuff you should know.
We're making an ad.
Snapping ads.
I hear that Gary Sinise is free.
Oh, okay, great.
He hasn't worked since 2020.
So, what would be the script that we would have Gary Sinise say for the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast?
Listen to this damn show. Damn it.
The Napping Through Happy Hour podcast brought to you by Geekscape.
Real life, real drama, real time.
I'm Gary Sinise.
That's the ad. That's the ad. That's the ad.
Matt, since this was kind of your suggestion for SEO.
No, this is my pick. This is definitively my pick.
Oh,
I
this is
double-checked.
definitely okay.
I double-checked our Trello. I cashed in a pick for this. So
okay, well then why don't you give us your double feature for this?
My double feature, it's a bit of a stretch, but I don't think it's as much of a stretch as it feels like in my brain. I went with 12 Monkeys.
No, that makes total sense.
I feel like there's elements of this movie that are very, very, like, not the present day parts of 12 Monkeys, but everything where Bruce Willis is reporting to the dystopian future part of 12 Monkeys.
Well, also, I feel like it has an aesthetic that's very similar too, because they're both overly saturated. Not as saturated, not as oversaturated as, say, Stomp the Yard. If you want to listen to us discuss Stomp the Yard, you should check out our Patreon, patreon.com/HMN podcast.
That may be one of the greatest Patreon episodes we've ever put out, where we talk absolutely nothing about the movie that we watch.
We do talk about dinosaurs, though.
Boy, do we.
But yeah, so...
They stomp. I read a book every night called Dinosaur Stomp to Hunter. It's fucking great.
I would accept that, Matt, because mine is an equal stretch because it's from one scene, literally one scene. I would go with the Funhouse, just because that other character gets killed by a giant fan blade. So because I don't really think that would fix the night, but it would be a lot shorter, after you go through the slog of a 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
Yeah, I think that this is a tough one to pair with, because I was just watching it and being like, I would rather be spending this amount of time watching Stalker, though I really can't recommend Stalker to anybody.
Stalker?
So then, Stalker is this immense dystopian sort of art film.
That one. Yeah.
Which it's an incredible film. It's really hard to recommend to anybody. Like I've
never watched the whole thing, and I probably never will. But it's a really cool concept.
It's a great concept. I'm gonna go with a horror movie night favorite, Priest.
Nice.
I'm gonna pair this.
Did I pick that one
with Priest?
You did.
Oh man, that was a
real
mistake.
insistent on Priest.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Priest. It's not a great pairing, but it's the best choice.
Well, so the other one that I was thinking of,
Emily in Paris.
Yeah.
In The Boys with Vision from the MCU. Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
I was torn between 12 Monkeys, and the other one I was thinking in the exact same kind of vein was Dark City, which I
Dark
also
City
think would pair
totally
really
be
well with this.
An HMN pick. Like I have considered that so many times. I think I have Dark City on my list, actually, on my Trello list. I think you might actually. I think that you're right. I think it's been on top of my mind because of that. But it's a good movie. Like it's a good, not great movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's super fun, and it's got Kiefer Sutherland in it being ridiculous. It's a fun
I have
movie.
Dark Breed. That's something else.
What's
Well,
Dark
that's something
Breed?
else, but still. Let's
knows?
not get
That's like
too
Dark
into
City
the
meets
weeds right
Nightbreed.
now.
Who the fuck knows why I put Dark Breed on here? If I could have a timestamp of when I put stuff on Trello,
Someone check
You
this
should
man's
just start
letterbox.
doing that. When you make the card, just in the notes, write down what the date is that you decided to throw it in
And
there.
why?
If you're having fun listening to this, maybe you want to meet one of us. Well, you get a chance to meet at least one of us on September 7th and September 8th at RetroCon in Oaks, PA. That's all we got right there. But you can buy T-shirts. You can join our Patreon. You can chat with us on Facebook. You can do all those things with the exact same combination of letters, HMN Podcast. Just look it up, hmnpodcast.com for merch, HMN Podcast on your Patreons, HMN Podcast on social medias. Find us, enjoy us. We love having you. And now the recommendations portion of this, which I guess falls on my shoulders because this is my pick.
Your pick, yeah.
So I was house sitting for someone. I rocketed through so much shit. And I have such a long list of things that I wanted to bring up. And I realized, man, we're only going to record like 2 more episodes before we as podcasters take a pretty lengthy break. So I had to pick what was the biggest one that I felt like was not getting enough attention. And that's why I'm going to talk about a TV show on Netflix based on a YA novel called Geek Girl. It's about a British girl who is a geek who accidentally becomes a supermodel. It's just charming and sweet. It's got a lot of, like, I would say for fans of stuff like The Princess Diaries, if you just love seeing an underdog become wildly famous and successful, but also want nothing to do with the fame and success, and it's more about them staying as true to themselves as they can against all odds. Just like a fun, had a smile on my face, 10 episodes, all like 22 to 25 minutes long. Easy breezy watching experience. So that's my recommendation.
Fair enough. I'm going to I have to do a warning instead of a, well, this is one of those times where I'm very upset. So I'm going to do two short things, okay? Now, do you guys remember a couple weeks ago when I talked about how much I enjoyed The Har by David Sodergren? I did foreshadow that I really did not enjoy the book that I read by him immediately following that. It's called Maggie's Grave. Now, a lot of people talk about how great it is on Horror Book Talk, and I don't know who those people are. I don't know if they've never read a single piece of good dialogue in their life, but Maggie's Grave has a pretty cool concept. It's about, so David Sodergren is Scottish, and so I believe that everything he writes is based in Scotland, at least from the two books. You know, the sample size that I have is that both the books have been in Scotland. So it's this small town in Scotland, and it starts in the 1600s. The townsmen they murder a woman. They accuse her of witchcraft, and she's not an actual witch. She's just an outsider. And as they're killing her, torturing her, she basically is like, if you want me to be a witch, I'll be a witch. You know, this is in her mind, and she's like, I curse this town. And then they cut out her baby, her fetus, and then she dies.
Oh, Jesus.
And so the curse in the town now is that any human that is conceived in the town basically raises her from her grave, and she comes and eviscerates everyone, murders anybody in her path until she gets the baby. Cool concept, right?
Really interesting.
Horrible
concept.
execution. And there is a twist right in the last like 2 pages that I was taking a hike with Megan and our dogs the other day, and I'm like, I explained it to her after I finished the book, and I'm like, am I an idiot for not catching this? You know, I don't feel like it was foreshadowed at all. I mean, if it was, there's this one scene and it felt like an off-topic, vague little thing, and she's like, no, it probably was just bad writing. It was, and I just, my number one pet peeve is horror dudes writing women in horror poorly, and David Sodergren is bad at it. He's not like offensively bad at it, but he's not good at it.
But that's unfortunately a topic that like you need to be at least decent at. Like you shouldn't fuck that up. That's kind of a dense topic.
I also don't understand these dudes writing this stuff and not having an editor being like, hey, maybe do another draft. Maybe you want to wordsmith this dialogue, or some of these things are a bit insensitive. Like, I think that a lot of what I am having a hard time with modern horror is, and I'm probably going to have the same problem with the retro paperbacks that I've been buying as well, that I'm going to dive into once I finish my stack of modern stuff, is that doing graphic essay, basically, or you know, having like this sexual content.
Well, it's certainly traumatic sexual content.
It is, but even if a monster is basically using it to entrap humans who are bad and they deserve to die for it, I don't want to fucking read about it. You know, like I don't want rape monsters. I just don't want that, and either way, like if the monster is doing it or receiving it and then getting revenge, it's just like, I don't like it. So anyway, that is a do not recommend, but I do want to give a recommend, which is Gen V, which is the spinoff to The Boys, and it's also on Amazon Prime. And It is a very slow start. My whole plan was I was going to watch Gen V season 1 before The Boys season 4 started. Didn't get around to it. I've been watching The Boys as it's been going through. By the time this comes out, I'm assuming that the season will be over. It's definitely a dialed back version of The Boys. It's not nearly as over the top because you're dealing with basically college freshmen at a soups only university, but it does expand the lore of the Boys universe, and I believe they're going to do another season of it. The main core characters have a pretty cool group of powers. One of them is basically what I would call, I don't think they actually call her this, she has blood powers. I would call her a hemokinetic. Like she can control blood. So it's a really cool power set. And then there's another one that is a non-binary / trans kind of character named Jordan, where Jordan has a male and female form and just has different power sets per form. Super cool ideas and concepts there. I'm enjoying it. It is a little slow to start. So by episode 5, it really starts to cook, and I like that. But if you put yourself in the mindset of kind of watching maybe season 4 or 5 of Buffy, the pacing makes sense. So that is a recommend, and I do enjoy it.
So, if you are subscribed to the Patreon, great, good job. You did the right thing. If you're not, you should check it out. I have gone over a recap of my time at the Chattanooga Film Festival. Spoiler alert, it fucking ruled. It was great. I watched a lot of amazing shorts and features and still didn't get through all of their programming the way that I wanted to. But listen, as far as like, they call it a summer camp for cinephiles, and it truly is, even if you're able to attend only virtually, like, which is a high recommendation. You get onto a Discord with other film festival goers. You get to talk, like, you actually are, Chris Dortch, the programmer, great dude. He proclaims that there is no difference between the in-person and the virtual festivals. They are all one slate of films, and he will continue to do that all the way through. There's not like an A and B list of programming. It's all one program, which I really appreciate it, because Ouchie was virtual only. The short film that a friend of the show, Jeanette, and I made was virtual only, and we still had an amazing response and communication about the short. Anyway, that is all gone over in the Patreon. Go back and listen to it. I will try to recommend at least one flick on the main show that I saw that I think will be accessible, if not now, soon. Because I think that it was in person only because it was going to be released relatively soon, that they didn't want to do a virtual screening of it. And that is called... It's a French film called Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. Now,
wow,
it is charming as fuck. I'm sitting there watching it, and I mean the title truly tells it all. Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. This vampire comes from a family of vampires. Does not want to. It's vegan. They're vegan. They don't want to be killing humans, but they need to be drinking blood. Like, within the first 15 minutes, this, teenager, maybe early 20s, still living at home, drinking out of blood pouches because they will not go out and hunt. Like, that's the setup. That is truly the setup. And they meet a depressed boy who wants to die. And they go on an adventure to sort of fulfill, like, his last wishes before dying at the hands of a relatively cute young vampire who doesn't want to feast on humans non-consenting to the thing. And it
sounds incredible. This sounds so good. I can't wait to watch this shit.
It was giving me, like, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Yes!
It was giving me a girl watch Home Alone at night. It was giving me all the things that I wanted it to hit, and it did it. It's really charming. It's a good pace. It's funny. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm sure there's going to be an English remake of it in the next 5 years. Seek this out. It's really fun. That was one of my favorite things that I saw there. And it was like, because it was in person only, and I think that it was already showing in like Alamo draft houses and stuff like that. By the time this episode comes out, it might already be available to stream. These things move super fast. I don't know. It seems to have already had legs beyond screening at this festival. So I big recommend. I wouldn't say it's not like a horror comedy, though I might have even said, I don't know. It's just so charming and full of heart, with funny moments, with tender moments. Really great.
Nice. Well, go seek that one out. And like Kyle said, go to the patreon.com/HMN podcast for a much deeper dive from Kyle.
I wore my Cutie Patootie shirt to Chattanooga. It was a big hit.
Love to hear it.
What can I say? It's a great hit. It's a great shirt.
Love to hear it. And we'll be back next week with more Horror Movie Night.
Do you like to laugh, geek out on music, and learn all about that band or artist who had that one song back in the day, but then seemed to fall off the face of the earth? If so, you need to subscribe to One Hit Thunder. Together with an array of interesting and hilarious guests, we do a weekly dive into one-hit wonders like Eiffel 65's Blue, Krayshawn's Gucci Gucci, EMF's Unbelievable, Delamitri's Roll to Me, Los Del Rio's Macarena, Musical Youth's Pass the Dutchie, and even Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind. So are you subscribed to One Hit Thunder or what? As Desiree would say, you gotta be. And as K7 would encourage, you gotta come baby come and join in on the fun of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come, come. Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come.
Hello, everyone. We're superhero stuff you should know. And if you think you know about superheroes and comic books, think again.
We got romance. We got action.
Romance?
We got comedy. We got everything you need, man. Come on down to superhero stuff you should know for all your superhero needs.
I don't know about this romance. What part are you talking about?
We've got all kinds of sketches and then deep dives on top of that. Come on down to superhero stuff you should know.
All right, so come on down to... Wait, why did I say come on down? To superhero stuff you should know.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.